In the heart of Seoul, where neon lights hide deadly secrets, two worlds collide in a storm of passion and danger. Cynthia Smith, a brilliant Nigerian consultant, never expected one night to change everything. Jin-ho Park, a billionaire with blood on his hands, rules Seoul's underground with an iron fist, until he meets the one woman who refuses to kneel. Their first encounter ignites a fire neither can control. But when Cynthia discovers the truth about Jin-ho's empire, she's thrust into a war between rival syndicates where love is the deadliest weapon. Kidnapped. Betrayed. Hunted. Cynthia must fight not just for survival, but for the soul of the man she's falling for. Jin-ho faces an impossible choice, his father's criminal legacy or a chance at redemption with the woman who sees past his darkness. Bullets fly. Loyalties shatter. Blood spills on Seoul's pristine streets. In a world where trust is currency and violence is law, can two broken souls forge something real? Or will the shadows consume them both? This is Shadows of Seoul, where love and crime dance on a knife's edge, and every choice could be your last. Before we dive into the story, please subscribe and like this video. Make sure to watch till the end. The gunshot echoed through the underground parking garage, and Cynthia Smith hit the concrete floor, her heart hammering against her ribs. Above her, men shouted in Korean, their voices sharp with violence. She crawled behind a black Mercedes, her designer heels abandoned somewhere in her desperate sprint. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to end. 2 hours ago, she'd been sipping champagne at Seoul's most exclusive party. Now she was hiding from men with guns, and somehow, impossibly, this was all connected to him. Jin-ho Park. The name tasted like whiskey and regret on her tongue. She'd promised herself she'd never see him again after that night 3 weeks ago. The night that had started with witty banter and ended with tangled sheets and emotions she wasn't ready to name. The night he'd vanished before dawn without a word, leaving only the scent of his cologne and a hollow ache in her chest. But Seoul was a city of complications, and fate had a twisted sense of humor. Another gunshot. Closer this time. Cynthia's breath came in sharp gasps as she pressed herself against the cold metal of the car. Her mind raced through survival options, each more desperate than the last. She was a tech consultant, not an action hero. Her weapons were PowerPoint presentations and data analytics, not whatever was happening in this nightmare. Then she heard his voice, cutting through the chaos like a blade through silk. If you've touched her, I'll burn your entire organization to the ground. Jin-ho's tone was ice and fury, each word measured and lethal. Cynthia peered around the Mercedes and saw him standing in the garage entrance, flanked by 3 men in dark suits. Even in the harsh fluorescent lighting, he looked like something carved from marble and menace. His tailored suit was immaculate, his posture relaxed, but his eyes, those eyes that had looked at her with such intensity 3 weeks ago, now blazed with murderous intent. Park Jin-ho, another voice called out, thick with mockery. So predictable. The mighty crime lord, brought to his knees by a foreign woman. Cynthia recognized that voice. Han Dae-sung, the man who'd cornered her at the party earlier, who'd whispered threats about Jin-ho while his men blocked her exit. She'd thought it was just intimidation. She'd been catastrophically wrong. Let her go, Han. This is between us. Jin-ho took a step forward, and Cynthia saw something in his hand. A gun, held with casual familiarity. That's where you're wrong, Han replied. You made it about her when you started going soft. Your father would be ashamed. The great Chairman Park's son, distracted by a pretty face. Cynthia's pulse thundered in her ears. She needed to think, to act, to do something other than hide like prey. Her eyes scanned the garage, looking for an exit, a weapon, anything. Her hand closed around a tire iron leaning against the wall beside her. My father, Jin-ho said, his voice dropping to something deadly quiet, taught me that power means nothing without control. And right now, I'm controlling the urge to put a bullet through your skull. Don't test my restraint. The tension stretched like a wire about to snap. Cynthia gripped the tire iron tighter, her mind calculating angles and distances. She'd taken self-defense classes back in Lagos, but this was real, and these men dealt in death like currency. Then everything exploded into motion. Han's men opened fire, and Jinho's team returned it in a symphony of violence that shattered the garage's eerie stillness. Cynthia dropped flat, covering her head as bullets pinged off metal and concrete. She heard Jinho shouting orders in Korean, heard running footsteps, heard her own ragged breathing. A hand grabbed her ankle, and she twisted, swinging the tire iron with every ounce of strength she possessed. It connected with something solid, and a man grunted in pain. She scrambled to her feet, running in a crouch toward where she'd last seen Jinho. Strong arms caught her, and she swung again before recognizing his face. "It's me," Jinho said, pulling her behind a concrete pillar. His hand cupped her face, searching for injuries. "Are you hurt?" "No. What the hell is happening?" Cynthia's voice shook with adrenaline and fury. "You're actually a mobster. Mira said it was rumors, but you're really..." "Yes." His admission was flat, final. "And we're leaving. Now." He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward a side exit, his body shielding hers. Behind them, the gunfire continued, but Jinho moved with the confidence of someone who'd orchestrated this chaos. They burst through a metal door into a stairwell, and he practically dragged her up 3 flights before they emerged into the neon-lit streets of Gangnam. A black SUV screeched to a stop in front of them. The driver was the man Cynthia had seen with Jinho at meetings, Min-seo, his assistant. Or whatever he actually was. "Get in," Min-seo barked. Cynthia hesitated for half a heartbeat before Jinho lifted her into the vehicle and climbed in after her. The SUV peeled away from the curb, and she finally allowed herself to process what had just happened. "You used me," she said, her voice cold. "That night. Everything. You knew who I was." Jinho's jaw tightened. "No. That night was..." He stopped, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair, disrupting it for the first time since she'd known him. "That night was real. Everything else came after." "Everything else meaning people trying to kill me?" Cynthia's laugh was bitter. "I'm a digital consultant. I optimize workflows and analyze data. I can't. You won't have to." Jinho turned to face her fully, and in the passing streetlights, she saw something raw in his expression. Fear, maybe. Guilt, definitely. "I'll protect you. This is my world, my mistake. You shouldn't have been dragged into it. Too late for that." Cynthia pressed her palms against her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. "Take me to my apartment. I'm packing and leaving Korea." "You can't." Min-seo spoke from the driver's seat, his tone clipped. "Han knows where you live. He knows where you work. You're leverage now. You run, he follows." Cynthia wanted to scream. Instead, she laughed again, the sound edging toward hysteria. "This is insane. This is actually insane. I came to Seoul for a job opportunity, not to star in some crime thriller." Jinho reached for her hand, but she pulled away. The hurt that flashed across his face was almost satisfying. "I have a safe house," he said quietly. "It's secure. You'll stay there until I handle Han." "Handle him how? More shooting? More violence?" Cynthia shook her head. "And then what? Another rival pops up, and we do this again?" "I'll end it," Jinho said, and the certainty in his voice sent chills down her spine. "I'll end all of it." The safe house turned out to be a penthouse apartment in an unmarked building in Hanam-dong, one of Seoul's wealthiest neighborhoods. The interior was minimalist luxury, all clean lines, expensive furniture, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. Under other circumstances, Cynthia might have appreciated the view. Now, it just felt like a gilded cage. Min-seo swept the apartment with professional efficiency while Jinho stood by the windows, his phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. Cynthia sank onto a leather sofa, her body finally registering the night's trauma. Her hands trembled. Her dress was torn. She was pretty sure she had bruises forming on her knees from hitting the concrete. "Clear," Min Seo announced. "I'll post security outside." "Boss, we need to discuss." "Later." Jin Ho's voice was sharp. He ended his call and turned to Min Seo. "Give us a moment." Min Seo's expression clearly communicated his disapproval, but he left, closing the door with deliberate firmness. The silence stretched between them, thick and complicated. "Why me?" Cynthia finally asked. "Of all people in Seoul, why did you?" She couldn't finish the question. Jin Ho moved to the bar cart and poured 2 glasses of whiskey. He offered her one, and she took it, their fingers brushing briefly. The contact sent an unwelcome spark through her. "Because you weren't afraid of me," he said, settling into the chair across from her. "That night at the party, you looked at me like I was just a man. Not a park. Not a," he gestured vaguely. "Not this. If I'd known what this was, I would have run screaming." "Would you have?" His eyes held hers, and damn him, her breath caught. Cynthia sipped her whiskey, using the burn to ground herself. "Tell me the truth. All of it. If I'm risking my life, I deserve to know why." Jin Ho leaned back, and for a moment, he looked exhausted. The polished facade cracked, revealing something more human underneath. "My father built an empire," he began. "Legitimate businesses on the surface, real estate, entertainment, tech. Underground, he controlled half of Seoul's criminal networks. Drugs, weapons, protection rackets. When I was younger, I thought it was power. Authority. By the time I understood what it really was, I was too deep to escape. You could have walked away." "No, I couldn't." His smile was sad. "In this world, you don't retire. You die or you rule. My father is dying now. Cancer. 6 months, maybe less. His rivals are circling, waiting to carve up his territory. Han Daesung is the most aggressive. And I became collateral damage because we slept together once. Because I couldn't stay away from you after." Jin Ho set down his glass. "I should have. I tried. But I kept finding reasons to see you. The business deal with your company, the project meetings. I told myself it was innocent, that I could keep you separate from my other life. I was arrogant and stupid." Cynthia wanted to hate him. She should hate him. But the raw honesty in his voice, the self-loathing, made it complicated. "Han had me followed," she said. "Didn't he? He saw us together." "Yes. And he saw an opportunity. Take you, hurt me, prove I'm weak. In our world, emotional attachments are vulnerabilities." Jin Ho stood and moved to the window, his back to her. He was right. "I nearly got you killed tonight. But you didn't." Cynthia rose too, crossing to stand beside him. The city glittered below them, beautiful and indifferent to their chaos. "You saved me. This time." She studied his reflection in the glass. "What happens now?" "I eliminate the threat. Then I make sure this never happens again." "By becoming more ruthless? More violent?" Cynthia turned to face him directly. "That's not solving anything. That's just perpetuating." "I know." Jin Ho's voice was rough. "I've known for years. Every decision I make stains my hands darker. Every rival I destroy creates 3 more. It's endless, and I'm trapped in it. Then get out." He laughed, a hollow sound. "It's not that simple. Make it simple." Cynthia grabbed his arm, forcing him to look at her. "You're Jin Ho Park. If you can orchestrate gang wars and run criminal empires, you can find a way out. And do what? Become a regular businessman? My enemies won't forgive my past sins because I've had a change of heart. So you just accept this? Live like this forever? Until it kills me, yes. His eyes held a weary resignation that broke something in her chest. Cynthia didn't plan what she did next. Maybe it was adrenaline, maybe it was something she'd been denying since that first night. She reached up and kissed him, hard and desperate. Jin-ho froze for a heartbeat, then responded with equal intensity, his hands framing her face like she was something precious and breakable. The kiss tasted like whiskey and danger, and when they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. This is a terrible idea, Cynthia whispered. The worst, Jin-ho agreed, his forehead resting against hers. I should hate you. You probably should. I'm still leaving Korea. When this is over. I know. They kissed again, slower this time, and Cynthia let herself fall into the feeling, consequences be damned. She'd deal with reality tomorrow. Tonight, she just needed to feel alive after coming so close to death. The next morning brought harsh sunlight and harsher truths. Cynthia woke alone in an unfamiliar bedroom, Jin-ho's side of the bed already cold. She found him in the penthouse's office, surrounded by Min Seo and two other men she didn't recognize, all speaking intense Korean while studying what looked like building blueprints spread across a desk. They fell silent when she entered. We're planning Han's response, Jin-ho said without preamble. He'll retaliate. We need to be ready. Or you could negotiate, Cynthia suggested. Talk to him. The men exchanged glances that clearly communicated what they thought of that idea. This isn't a boardroom dispute, Min Seo said, his English heavily accented but clear. Han wants boss's territory. He wants his reputation destroyed. Talking won't fix that. Violence won't either. It'll just escalate. That's how this world works, one of the other men said, shrugging. Cynthia looked at Jin-ho, searching for allies in his expression, but found only grim determination. The next 3 days blurred together in a haze of tension and frustration. Cynthia was confined to the penthouse, her every movement monitored by Jin-ho's security. She tried working remotely, but her company had already started asking questions about her absence. Mira called repeatedly, and Cynthia fed her vague excuses about a family emergency. Jin-ho came and went at odd hours, sometimes bloodied, always exhausted. They didn't talk about the night they'd spent together, didn't talk about feelings or futures. When they did interact, it was careful and distant, like they were both afraid of the emotions simmering beneath the surface. On the fourth night, Cynthia found Jin-ho on the penthouse terrace, staring out at Seoul's skyline. She brought 2 beers and handed him one without speaking. I met with my father today, he said after a long silence. Told him I'm planning to dismantle the organization after he's gone. Cynthia's eyebrows rose. What did he say? That I'm weak. That I've forgotten what it takes to survive in this world. That you've made me soft. Jin-ho's laugh was bitter. He's probably right. You're not weak for wanting something better. Aren't I? In his world, mercy is weakness. Compassion is failure. He built an empire on those principles. And look where it got him. Dying alone, surrounded by people who fear him instead of love him. Cynthia sipped her beer. Is that what you want? To be feared? Jin-ho was quiet for a long moment. I used to think so. Power through fear seemed simpler than power through respect. But then I met you, and you weren't afraid. You challenged me, called me out, made me laugh. And I realized I'd spent years building walls around myself, and I was suffocating behind them. Jin-ho. I'm going to do it, he interrupted. Find a way out. Even if it kills me, I'm going to try. Not for you, I won't put that burden on you. But for myself. Because you made me remember there's supposed to be more to life than survival and violence. Cynthia set down her beer and moved closer, taking his hand. Then let me help. I'm good at problem solving. That's literally my job. This isn't a workflow optimization. No, but every problem has a solution if you're creative enough. Your father's dying, right? That means transition. Instead of his lieutenants fighting over territory, what if you sold everything? Liquidated the criminal assets, invested in legitimate businesses, paid reparations to people your family hurt. Make it financially beneficial for everyone to let you walk away. Jin-ho stared at her. That's actually possible. Risky, but possible. Everything worth doing is risky. She squeezed his hand. But you can't do it alone. You need allies. People you trust. I trust Min-seo. A few others. Then start building your exit strategy. Carefully. Quietly. For the first time in days, something like hope flickered in Jin-ho's eyes. The plan took shape over the following weeks. Jin-ho began secret negotiations with his father's most loyal lieutenants, offering them generous buyouts and legitimate business opportunities. He reached out to rival organizations through intermediaries, proposing territory divisions that would avoid bloodshed. It was delicate work, requiring precision and patience. Han Dae-sung, however, remained a problem. He wanted war, not negotiation, and he continued targeting Jin-ho's operations, killing his men, destroying his assets. The violence escalated daily. He's not going to let you walk away, Min-seo said during a strategy meeting. He sees your weakness. Then we give him what he wants, Jin-ho replied. A meeting. Face to face. That's suicide, Cynthia protested. He tried to kill you. He kidnapped me. And I'll go prepared. But if there's any chance of ending this without more death, I have to try. The meeting was set for neutral ground, a warehouse in Incheon controlled by a third party both sides respected. Jin-ho insisted Cynthia stay at the penthouse, but she refused. I'm not hiding while you risk your life, she said firmly. I'll stay in the car with Min-seo. But I'm coming. Jin-ho looked like he wanted to argue, but something in her expression stopped him. Instead, he kissed her forehead. If anything goes wrong, Min-seo will get you to the airport. There's a ticket to Lagos in your name. Take it and don't look back. Nothing's going wrong, Cynthia said, praying she was right. The warehouse was exactly as grim as she'd imagined, concrete floors, rusted metal beams, the smell of industrial chemicals. Cynthia watched from the SUV's tinted windows as Jin-ho and 3 of his men entered. Han Dae-sung was already there with his own contingent, all of them armed and hostile. This is bad, Min-seo muttered, his hand resting on his holstered gun. Boss is too exposed. Inside the warehouse, Jin-ho and Han faced each other across 10 feet of empty space. Their voices carried through the microphone Jin-ho wore, piped into the SUV's speakers. You wanted a meeting, Han said. Make it quick. I'm leaving the life, Jin-ho stated. Taking my father's organization legitimate. I'm offering you territories in Gangbuk and Songdong. No strings. You get what you want without more blood. Han laughed. You think I want territory? I want your reputation destroyed. I want everyone to know that Jin-ho Park bent the knee to me. I'm offering you a peaceful solution. I don't want peace. I want war. And I want that foreign bitch to watch you die. The words were barely out of Han's mouth before gunfire erupted. Cynthia screamed as bullets shattered the warehouse windows. Min-seo threw the SUV into gear, but before they could move, 3 cars blocked their escape route. Get down! Min-seo shouted, pulling his weapon. Cynthia ducked below the dashboard, her heart exploding in her chest. This was it. Han had never intended to negotiate. He'd used the meeting as a trap. More gunfire. Shouting. The SUV's windows spiderwebbed with bullet impacts. Min-seo returned fire through his window, and Cynthia's ears rang from the noise. Then, impossibly, the shooting stopped. Cynthia heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. Police, Min-seo said. Someone called them. We need to move. Now. He abandoned the SUV, dragging Cynthia with him. They ran toward the warehouse through smoke and chaos. Inside, bodies littered the floor, but Jin-ho was standing, blood streaming from a wound on his shoulder. Han Dae-sung lay motionless nearby, a crimson pool spreading beneath him. What happened? Cynthia gasped. He drew first, Jin-ho said, his voice tight with pain. I had no choice. The sirens were deafening now. Min-seo grabbed Jin-ho's uninjured arm. We have to go. The police can't find us here. They fled through a back exit as police cars flooded the area. Min-seo had a second vehicle waiting 3 blocks away, and they piled in, speeding toward Gangnam while Jin-ho bled all over the leather seats. Hospital, Cynthia insisted. No hospitals, Jin-ho gritted out. Too many questions. You're going to bleed out. I have a doctor. Private. It's handled. The doctor turned out to be a nervous man with a medical bag who met them at a different safe house. He patched Jin-ho up while Cynthia paced, her mind replaying the violence over and over. When the doctor finally left, she sat beside Jin-ho's bed, exhausted and terrified. This has to end, she whispered. We can't keep doing this. It will end, Jin-ho promised, his face pale. Han's dead. His organization will fracture. I can finish my plan now. And if another Han appears? Another rival? Then I'll deal with it. But I swear to you, Cynthia, I'm getting out. For real this time. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly. The next 6 months were a masterclass in controlled chaos. Jin-ho systematically dismantled his father's criminal empire, selling assets, negotiating exits, paying off rivals. His father died during this process, and the funeral was a who's who of Seoul's underworld, all of them watching Jin-ho with suspicion and calculation. Cynthia stayed by his side through it all, her business consulting skills surprisingly useful in unwinding complex criminal finances. They moved money, restructured companies, created legitimate fronts that slowly became actual legitimate businesses. It was exhausting and dangerous, but slowly, impossibly, it worked. Not everyone was happy. Jin-ho survived 2 assassination attempts. Their penthouse was bombed once. Cynthia developed a permanent wariness, always checking exits, always aware of her surroundings. But they survived. And somewhere in the chaos, the space between them shifted from desperate attraction to something deeper. Love, maybe, though neither of them said the word. It felt too fragile, too dangerous to name. Finally, nearly a year after that first violent night, Jin-ho made his final move. He stood in a conference room with the remaining crime bosses in Seoul and laid out his proposition. He was out, completely and permanently. His territory was divided fairly among them. His legitimate businesses would remain his, and anyone who interfered would face legal consequences through Korea's judicial system, which Jin-ho had carefully cultivated allies within. It was a gamble. But it worked. 2 days after that meeting, Cynthia stood on the penthouse terrace, watching Seoul's sunrise paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. She felt Jin-ho's arms wrap around her from behind, pulling her back against his chest. It's over, he murmured against her hair. Really over. Are you sure? As sure as I can be. I'm just a businessman now. Boring. Legitimate. Maybe even respectable, given enough time. Cynthia turned in his arms, studying his face. The hardness was still there, probably always would be. But there was peace too, something she'd never seen before. What now? She asked. Now I rebuild. Create something worth having instead of just protecting what I stole. And I'm hoping, he paused, suddenly vulnerable. I'm hoping you'll stay. Help me. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Cynthia pretended to consider it, though her decision had been made months ago. I might be persuaded. What's the benefits package like? Jin-ho smiled, genuine and warm. Well, there's the penthouse. The view. Me. The me part might be worth it. Just might be. I'll need to conduct a thorough evaluation. Could take years. I have years, Jin-ho said softly. For the first time in my life, I actually have a future. Because of you. We did it together. We did. They kissed as Seoul awakened below them, the city of neon and shadows transforming into something beautiful in the morning light. Two broken people who'd found each other in the darkness, now facing the dawn together. It wouldn't be easy. Jin-ho's past would always haunt them, and trust would take time to fully rebuild. But standing there, wrapped in each other, they both felt something they'd thought lost forever, hope. If you've made it this far in our story, thank you for joining Cynthia and Jin-ho on their journey from violence to redemption. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories like this one, hit that like button if this story moved you, and drop a comment below telling us what you thought. Would you have stayed with Jin-ho? Could love really change someone so deeply embedded in darkness? We want to hear your thoughts. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the world we're born into, but the courage it takes to leave it behind.